Good morning. Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Today is June 13th, and it's been a while since we've done a garden tour, so let's take a look at how things are doing. We'll start up here at the top of the garden at the Victory Garden area, for those that know. Uh, Everything is looking mighty rough with the heat coming on. It's been getting drier, even with moisture. It's, as you can see, these uh, yellow wax beans are looking rough. Now, our sunflowers are starting to bloom, which is nice. And look like our borage is, it's bit the dust. It's still putting on a few flowers, so I hadn't moved it out, but we're going to have to end up cleaning out this bed. Our green beans, uh, we can still pick just a few, but I think when we pick them this time, we'll pull them and pick them at the same time. Our poor little flowers over here in the corner, they're not looking too good. But some things are doing really good in the heat. But sometimes they're not doing so good. And a lot of people say, what happened to my pepper? Well, when the sun gets hot and it's not protected by leaves, a lot of times this is what happens. It just can't take it. Now these are doing real good. These are the Emerald Giants. They've got some nice peppers on there. That's a nice one. These are nice, meaty, thick ones, so that's good. But they're doing good. As you can see, the okra is doing good. It's done. Some of them's done over 6 foot. Our tomatoes here. These are the Cherokee purples. They're still blooming. They're still setting tomatoes, but they are having a rough time. You can see down here, I'm starting to get some blight and some issues, but they're hanging in there surprisingly. Now, we've been giving them even water. We don't end up with any of the blossom end rot, which might be common. Now, occasionally we'll have tomatoes that, because they're fasciated, the bottoms will kind of resemble that. But I explained to people that when it's got blossom end rot, it is actually soft and it's not firm area. Now, our beans that we put in here, these were French beans. They are blooming up the storm. Won't be long. I ought to be seeing some little bean pods show up on there. I haven't seen them yet, but they're not far off. They've really been going after it. These Cherokee purples, they're doing pretty good. As we lose plants, we're just going to take them out. Now, this is a jungle in here. You can see these sun gold cherry tomatoes, and you can see this walkway where you can barely get through. Now, we were going to prune these off. We had pruned some off on the other side, and she said, no, let's let them go, let all those tomatoes go. And we've been picking quite a few for the market and eating quite a few, and they're just tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. Now, if anybody that grows cherry tomatoes and has done in the past, they know that it doesn't take very many cherry tomato plants to make a lot of tomatoes. Now, these peppers over here, and I got the same issue. The ones that's getting more sun, getting sun scald. Now, these I could actually chop up and cut this part off because we're going to be doing some peppers today. But some of these that have got that, and it's really affected that pepper. So as far as that's probably not going to be able to do anything with it. But we do see this. It's really common here in the South whenever we start getting the heat coming up. Now, our jalapenos, they're doing great. Most of them. There's a couple of plants in here that just aren't that great of plants. They are starting to bloom now, but They were looking mighty pitiful, but they seem to maybe they're coming back. Eggplants, uh, these are doing good. And it's forming nice eggplants down in there. It'd be better if I point the camera right now. I get some that we don't pick in time, and they get just a little bit start yellowing. Now, we haven't had good luck with our tomatillos. We've had a lot of bug problems. We were going to tear them out, but they bloom so well, and the bees really like them. So we've been leaving them in here. But they're not getting very big, and early on we had a lot of insect damage to them. Now these little old Cajun bells, and they will actually turn red. We just pick them when they start turning, but they're doing really well. We got another sun gold cherry tomato over here, but we do have if you can see right in there, right there, that's the ones that we have a problem with, is the leaf foot bugs. And we haven't been out here with our vacuum. We've been so busy. Normally you see a weed-free garden, but because we've been having so many things going on now, freeze drying, canning, we've got to do a bunch of tomatoes today. We just packaged up some onions that we freeze dried, and that's all part of it. It's just got to go, but the heat has been bad out here. This is my next batch of yellow squash, and it's looking pitiful. We've been losing. This was a full row. Our pumpkins over there, we've been losing them to vine borers, and it's been kind of the same here. They are setting some squash, but they look like they've got mosaic virus. But you see these just dropping down, and when they just drop down overnight, that you can count on it as probably vine borers. Now we're yet to get any peppers off of our. This is our peperoncini, I think is what it is, but they are setting fruit. And I thought I seen a bigger one that was easier to see in here, but they are starting to set their fruit. Now these look, to me, they look just like a shishito, but they are considerably hotter than a shishito. And we'll see how hot they are once they start getting in production. This was a pepper that they say is really good as far as pickling, so that's what we've got it for. But they are going, and they're doing good. And these ones here are habanadas, and these were just now, they're starting to get to where we're going to have a few to pick maybe this week. They're getting loaded up. We've got some more sunflowers. I'm going to estimate that's probably 9 foot to the top of that one. I just had miscellaneous saved seeds and planted them. And it's different varieties. You can see that's just a single flower up here. You can see this is a multi flower. It's putting out a whole lot of blooms. So there's a lot of options when it comes to sunflowers. And we're doing pretty good here on our serranos, and our mystery pepper are doing real good. Our hatch green chilies, they're doing real good. We picked so many last week, and we're going to have to pick a bunch this week. But we'll end up dehydrating them, then freeze drying them, because they are just producing like crazy. So got to do something with them. Now I might talk about tomatoes a little bit. These are some more Cherokee purple. But whenever we come out here and we see them start to blush this time of year, and this tomato will ripen up nice and pretty. But when we pick them like that, we don't have to worry about when we start getting leaf foot bugs. A lot of them we pick more green, just like say when they start to blush on the bottom. They'll taste just as good. I mean, just as good as a fully ripe one on the vine when they're picked like this, because we're not rushing them up. We just fix them where we can store them and let them ripen inside. But we don't have near as much insect damage whenever it comes to that. So if you're having insect problems, you're getting a lot of stung tomatoes, you might try that. Now, that won't prevent all of it, but it'll prevent a whole lot of it. Let's go over here and see our herbs, see how they're doing. We definitely got to get out here and weed, and that's our project. We've got another load of compost finally, so we're going to start trying to get it out. But we're going to go in here, and this is just about solid laid out weeds in there, and it's got to be taken care of. Now our chives, you see the tips are browning on these. We have so many that's already been freeze dried and put up. We don't need any more. We don't sell a whole lot at the market. That's kind of the way things are. So we'll probably just let these keep growing and do. And then if we get seed heads popping up, we'll take those off. But they're doing really good. Our oregano looks like one's starting to flower, but this is ready to be cut again. We're going to cut some more oregano and freeze dry it. And we still haven't got to our sage. Now this is time we got to get to it. What happens is once it gets pretty big, the leaves that's on the bottom either get insect damage or they'll start yellowing and they're not good for preservation. Now we come up here to our ginger. Now we have some ginger that's come up, but we didn't get real good germination on our ginger when we replanted. We planted just about all of our ginger that we harvested last year, and we've got about the same amount of ginger coming back. Now we are fixing to work on getting a shade cloth on here because it definitely doesn't like all the heat. And this turmeric, it's doing good. And once it starts getting a little more sun and heat, it's definitely not going to like it. So the shade cloth will really benefit it. Now our other herbs over here, our first ones are feverfew, and this first plant just never did real good. These were grown from seed. They are kind of hanging in there, but they're not getting all excited like I thought they were. This one's actually going to flower. Or stevia, this is doing real good. I did pop in another plant, but it doesn't seem to like it as much as the ones that I put in first. And our other herbs here, this is yarrow. It's doing good, and we've got some volunteer potatoes. We're fixing to dig these out of here. And our basil, now this was all going to flower. I just cut this back last week and took out all that was going to flower. Our other ones up here, our lemongrass, once it got into this bigger container, it's going crazy. Now we haven't taken and harvested any of this. Same thing with our lavender varieties. We've got 3, Goodwin Creek, French lavender, and then we've got our lavender that we grew from seed that's down here. We did take out the tarragon, cut it back. It was going to seed, let it come back. And our or summer savory, which it's going to see. And we'll probably cut this because we don't want it dropping seeds over into our next bin. Our peppermint is doing great. It's time we ought to harvest some more of that. And our lemon balm is really doing good. We'll harvest some more of that and get it freeze-dried. As we come down here to our marshmallow plants, they're just starting to bloom. So they're getting on up there now. These are not doing real good in the heat. They've been getting plenty of water, but they just don't like the heat. Our catnip, which it's blooming, we did cut this back because we done harvested as much as we want, but we cut it back because it was getting kind of wild. Now, we've just about finished out this row. Right down at the end, there's a few leek left, and we'll take those out this week. This is our next batch of cucumbers. I need to get down here and train them up to the fence. Looks like they're coming out towards the area that the morning sun comes. They are shaded by these shipping containers the big part of the morning, so they tend to want to grow over that way, but they are starting to bloom. I haven't checked to see if we got any female flowers yet, but we are getting male flowers, so we'll get the bees started getting attracted to them. Now, these are the poinsettia. I did plant some more national pickling cucumbers, and they just did not like it. So we're going to have to do something different. My plans are to take these out. I'll probably take them out today, even though there are one or two that's surviving. Maybe I might leave those, but we'll take out all these ones that's the weather's done. And we're going to come back. We're going to plant a batch of Armenian cucumbers. Now, they tend to take the heat real well, which, and a lot of people say, well, they're not actually a cucumber, and they are in the melon family. But they eat and you can use them just like a cucumber. So if you have a problem with the heat, you might just get some Armenian cucumbers and plant them. Now let's see, where do we want to go next? We've taken out all our onions. Well, I say there's one little stray one there and right there, but we've taken them out. And this is our real late leek, and it's not looking too awful good. I mean, as far as it would probably make some good baby leek. If we decide to freeze dry, we might do it, but it's kind of past that season. We're going to have to wait till cooler weather. We can go on down here, and we've been picking every other day on our tomatoes, and we pick anything on the cherry tomatoes that's changing too. And you can see these are the Super Sweet 100s, and they are loaded up with tomatoes. They're in full production. Now, if you haven't grown these, and I've talked about these before, these are not pinos, or they're marketed under a different name. It could be Fool You or something like that. But they make a good size pepper. We harvest them usually when they get about like this, which this is you could actually stuff this. They taste just like a jalapeno, but there's zero heat. So if you like peppers, but you don't like the spice from them, and say you want to make a stuffed jalapeno, this would be a good alternative. All our tomatoes are going crazy. The wind has kind of taken and blown our cages over. We could probably come in here and do some wiring up to get them straightened up. These are our other tomatillos. These are doing really bad, but like I say, there's so many blooms and the bees like them, and we need pollen and pollinators. So for our hive and other ones around here, so we're going to leave them in, even though they don't look or produce very well. We've got some more tomatoes here. In fact, we can go down here. Looks like we left a basket out here in the garden. But these are also sweet, super sweet 100s. And you can see they're out of control. Somebody just is not taking care of trimming them back. And I don't plan to. We have a lot of cayennes. We have been taking these to the market, but we're going to chop up and freeze dry some. And we have a lot of paprika peppers getting right. Now we are having some like this that ends up with some sun scald, but we're getting a lot of them ripening up. They're nice, pretty red. Now, if you haven't grown paprika peppers for your own paprika, that might be something you want to consider. Now this right here, and I'd have to sample it, this is definitely not a paprika pepper. This looks like a hatch green chili, and somehow one got in there, and it might have been because we lost one and added a plant to fill the hole. So know what your peppers look like so you can be able to determine between them. But we do have a lot more loss on our vegetables right now because of heat. We've got and we do have a jungle at the side. We need to get out here and weed. We're definitely increasing our seed bank, and what we normally do about this time when they get wild is come in here with the loppers and lop this off. We can't actually flame weed it because we have our ground cover, and any little spark that gets on it melts little holes in it, so that kind of deters us. We've got our shishito peppers. Like I say, those other peppers kind of look like the shishito pepper whenever you look at them, but definitely they're different. Now we are harvesting a few cucumbers down here. These ones are last ones, but as you can see, they are looking pitiful. But when I start talking about tomatoes and you start getting little spots all over them, that is from, you might have stink bugs, you might have leaffoot bugs coming in there and messing them up. Now we are, and I can see another leaffoot bug on there, but we are starting to form ghost peppers finally. Won't be long. These will start getting ripe, and we'll be able to start harvesting on some of them. But they're doing good. Our poblanos here, they're hanging in there, but the sun is getting to them too. We've had to do a whole lot of extra watering. When your plants get bigger, and depending on the variety of plant, they tend to need a lot more water than some of the other varieties you may have. Now these peppers here, I call these mystery pepper, but I think they're probably actually a yellow jalapeno. The heat's probably about the same, but these were supposed to be Carolina Reapers. So when you buy seeds, you need to make sure where you're getting your seeds from, because once these got up to production size and would turn around and start getting ready to see fruit, and then we find out it's not the right one. And the way the Carolina Reapers are, they're kind of slow growers at first, so it takes them quite a while to get production age. So it didn't make any sense to try to get another batch of seeds and start them later. But we are getting a few cucumbers here. We're just hanging in there. This keeps us enough to eat, and we may have a few for the market. Or lemon drop peppers. Well, in these cucumbers on this row, you can see it. This one's going to have to be pulled out. Our lemon drop peppers, our lemon drop melons, we have not actually got a good ripe one off them. The heat and different things have basically killed this whole row. Now, our snow-capped beans. These suckers, these are a heavy producer, and I've heard a lot of people talk about how heavy producers they are. Now these make a big bean, so they're going to have a little while longer before they're going to be ready, but they are getting loaded up with beans. In fact, I'm having to try to keep them out of my apple tree. They want to, the one that's down there, they want to grow on up in there, and so I have to watch them and pull them out. Our blueberries, we still have some blueberries that are producing. We get a few a day. A lot of the early varieties have already been played out, but we've got some of these other varieties that are still producing. Our Titan, it's starting to produce now, but this was supposed to be, I was raving how big a one this was supposed to be. I need to get down here and check the pH. pH is a big factor with blueberries as far as to get them to grow in production. So I have picked me up some sulfur, and we'll take and adjust that pH down to where it needs to be a regular thing. Now we do have a pretty good growth on our, I'm going to do a little weeding right here. This, I need to get down and weed, but like I say, we've just been so busy. But the 3 plants that we had bought last fall and wintered over in the greenhouse, they're doing real good. These other ones, and this is the art variety, and this was actually developed here close to us in ARP, and we're going to get one more weed here. Get these out. Okay. And this is another variety. This is what normally the rosemary seed packs, this is what it looks like, the way it grows. It's a little bit different, and you can tell looking at them side by side that they're different. Now the okra is doing okay. She's been harvesting some. Okra likes the heat. It's really doing good. We'll go down through here. This is our Roselle hibiscus. Now this Roselle hibiscus will get considerably higher. In fact, I won't be able to walk between this row once it gets more mature. Now it was blooming when it was young, trying to bloom. It may be because of stress, and the blooms might still be in there, but they haven't ever filled out because this particular variety was is daylight sensitive. So until the days start getting shorter, it's not going to do real well. Now it might change. We're going to put some shade cloth on this next row. Now this one here is in really bad shape. It does have one little part staying. I need to lop these off, but what happened to this was our strong winds. A lot of times it'll do that, break it, or it'll actually lay it over. Now our yellow wax, or not yellow wax, our yellow scorpion peppers, they're starting to produce now. Looks like they're doing pretty good, and won't be long they'll start getting ripe. Our globe artichokes are not liking the sun. When we put this shade cloth up over this and our rhubarb, it'll help that out. But like I say, it should shade this just a little bit more with that shade cloth. It might trick these roselle in this row to start blooming. Our habaneros are starting to produce good. It won't be long. They're at the stage now. It won't be long. We'll be harvesting some of those. Now we have harvested a lot of rhubarb. What happens is, and normally we get these when they first get broke off from the wind or something. before they get to the stage that they start getting damaged, or we'll find one like that and over here where it start browning on the edge of the limbs, and we'll take it off. And we've harvested quite a bit doing that. Now right here we have rhubarb going to seed. Now I don't know if I'll get any viable seed, but I decided to go ahead and let this go to seed. Now if you grow rhubarb, what you want to do is when you start to see that pop out like that, you want to snap that off. You don't want to let it go to seed. Now our cow horn peppers are really producing too. They just, you can see all those red ones in there. They look like the long cayennes that we grow, almost identical. So we got to really watch when we take them to market, make sure we keep them from ending up getting crossed. Now this is my tobacco now. Some of it, that one over there is about 6 foot. It's coming up and flowering. What I'll do is I'll start collecting these flowers so I can have some seed for next year. And we'll talk about seed saving. Our zucchini, it's starting to bloom. We have little female ones coming on. We did lose one here, and we're going to lose this one here for sure. We'll take this out. Now this is a cocazelle, and the cocazelle looks just a little bit different from this growth pattern in its leaves. Our dill has bit the dust. This was our first dill. We did take a lot to market, so those that do dill pickles would have some fresh dill, and it's been really doing good. Now this tobacco here, you can see these plants look like they're short because the wind's blown them over, and then they turn upright and start growing some more. But some of them has been sturdy enough that they stayed up, but we have a lot of them that are like this, that they blew over and then they just started back up. Now this tomato here, and it's just now producing. This was supposed to be a 42-day. I'm going to say it didn't produce in 42 days. I don't know what it tastes like. It was a free, got a couple of free seeds, and I planted them, but I only put one plant in here. I had a little space at the end of the row, so we'll see if it was even worthwhile. In the little greenhouse, our potatoes are not looking great. We definitely got a little weeding to do. Won't be long, we'll probably be digging these out because we've got some of them here that have already died back. We'll see if we got any potatoes, and we'll see what kind they were. These ones at this edge were our French fingerlings, which we've never had good success because we've never had them start green sprouting in time to plant them like we normally do in mid-February. The time it's surviving. We probably won't harvest any more of this for a little bit, let it get more established in there. You can see the asparagus patch. Those of you that grow know how it looks afterwards, after you stop harvesting. It really gets to growing up there tall. It's some of this like 7 foot. We could still harvest an occasional one if we want because it's putting out new sprouts, but we let them go ahead and come up and feed that root, so we got a good crop next year. But it's really a challenge keeping them contained in our roped area so we can still go through our patches. Now we have an empty bed right here, but it does have a few carrots that were left behind, and won't be long we'll be doing something with it. We do have the drip system on this morning. We're trying to keep the ground saturation at a good rate, and so we're having to water quite regular. Our strawberries, now we always have The strawberry patch always looks rough about this time of year, and it is definitely not doing good. We've almost got to where we don't want to grow strawberries because the uh, situation as far as the way fungus always gets them. Even though we brought them up here to where they get light earlier, they still get the leaf spot. So that won't be long. Now our chamomile, it's definitely played out and needs taken out. We let all the seed tops drop and it'll reseed itself. And of course, our echinacea or our purple coneflower, they're beautiful this time of year. They really like this time, and the bees love them. Here in a little bit, they'll be loaded up. I see various varieties of bumblebees and stuff. I hadn't seen my honeybees on them, but the bumblebees really like them. Now, this is a mess down here. My plants that we're going to put out and never got to them. Now, I am going to put these cucumbers. This is my slice more, and hopefully they won't be too stunted from being in there too long. And I need to get my next round of cilantro in the ground. We had taken banana pups off the trees. There were quite a few of them. There were a couple that was just really little. That was kind of little. And this one looks like it's going to make it. This one, I see no sign of anything coming with it. I did have an avocado experiment. I haven't got ready to dump these out yet because sometimes avocados are slow, but these were avocados that I put in here that were in the husk. I didn't take the pit out. I wanted to see how they would do if it was more natural, so I just put little slits in the side, make it easy for them to come out, and maybe less chance of them rotting in there, and then just put them in these pots and we'll see what happens. We do have pups coming back after we harvested all of them. I'd see about 5 right in here. I've got a couple over on this one. But what I want to show you on my banana tree, which is so exciting, is we have bananas. So what I'm going to say is that our keeping them warm during the winter is really played off. They're still setting fruit as long as they keep good moisture. They've got good fertilization. This bunch will keep getting longer. As you can see, for those that have no grown bananas, you will see if we can get a better view, but right up there, you can see another batch, and it'll keep doing that as long as it knows that it's got good conditions to set fruit. So it'll set more depending on what the conditions are, and we should be eating bananas this year. So anyway, we had some rashes in here. These haven't done any good. We have not got our greenhouse planted. We were planning to put a lot of greens in here, but we've had an issue, and I don't know if this is from whatever they're putting in the atmosphere and it blowing in here, because they haven't seen this, and there's no reason that the sun should do this. But the leaves are really getting affected on a lot of these plants. Our citrus is doing good, and we do have a lot of citrus there. I think it's going to be about time for me to take my air layer off of my my lime right there. We do have plenty of lime set. We have some lemon set on this one. Some of these plants are doing better, the different varieties. Let's see if I can actually read this tag, which I can't. But when your citrus starts putting out bigger leaves, and these will do real good if we ever get our greenhouse done. But when they start putting out bigger leaves, that's a good sign that they're wanting to go. When they put out these little bitty leaves, they're just not near as healthy. So you can tell the difference on your citrus on how the leaves are. These beans here, these are Blue Lakes, and they are blooming up a storm. They ought to do pretty good. We should get good production off them. They're just now starting to form their beans, so it won't be long. We'll be harvesting some of these. This is our next batch of dill. It's not quite big enough to harvest, but it's got a hold and it's starting to grow. Our cilantro here, it's starting to get in there, but it had some of that same issue to where the leaves had discoloration on them. And normally that doesn't happen, so we can't say that's due to weather. This parsley needs taken out. Now my pineapples that I took the tops, this time I didn't cut them like in earlier videos that I did quite a while back. But I said I'd go ahead and plant some more pineapples, see how they do. They'll go in the new greenhouse where they can be kept warm through the winter time so they won't freeze. Now it looks like out of the three, two of them looks good. This one here does not look like it's going to survive. We do have our mango. This is one of our mangoes right here that's it's doing good. And we have this other mango and it's doing good. So hopefully we should have some mango trees survive. We've got a few seeds from some we just got. I figure I'd go ahead and plant them in case I lose one of these. This is our single seed challenge from 2022, the grapefruit tree. It's doing great. It would really do good if I get it in the ground. Our Meyer lemon, it has a good bit of lemons, but it's not as loaded up as I'd like to see it. But part of that is due to it's in the pot and needs to get in the ground. Our orange tree here, it is got a few fruit on it, but it doesn't have very many. It was loaded up, and this same thing, it needs to get in the ground. I'm hoping that these air layers take on this. I wanted to get a few more oranges. I had started a video on it, and maybe I'll complete it through because there was a few tricks that I did notice the difference when you're air layering a certain type of wood doesn't do as good. This is the last one of our avocados we grew. It looked like it was going to survive, and then it started browning up like the others. So we're giving up on avocados. And this here is my single seed challenge, second attempt for 2024. I'm not going to make another attempt. This was a pumpkin. It had the same thing. I put a whole row in here. It had the same thing. Vine borers got it. So we're going to say we're just going to give up on that. And we're going to try to put things in here that the vine borers won't bother. So we do have some kind of crop, but we're really having a problem growing any kind of squash, pumpkin, stuff like that. So we'll see what we can get that they won't bother. But anyway, that's what it's looking like. We have plenty of produce, but if your garden's not looking that great, don't feel like you're the only one. There are other of us struggling, and we really don't want to struggle with it, but you know how it goes. Sometimes the weather just doesn't take and help you. It gets too warm, too wet, all those kind of things. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more content like this, well, of course, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all. Give it a big thumbs up and share this video. Enjoy that gardening experience.